AITA for giving my son's new bike away after the prank he pulled on a girl he was friends with. So recently I found out my son, Jacob, 15, pulled an incredibly cruel prank on one of the girls I'll call Ashley, that's in his friend group. I know this girl. She's been to our house and even attended Jacob's birthday party a month ago. She seemed incredibly sweet if not a bit shy. So when my oldest son, Mark, 17, came to me and told me Jacob had asked Ashley out on a date as a prank, I was stunned. I of course asked how he could know this, hoping as any mother would that it wasn't true. But Mark showed me the family tablet we all use, but mostly my sons do. And it seems Jacob forgot to log out of his chatting app, Discord. I read the long series of messages between Jacob and his friends as they mocked Ashley all through this heartless prank. I was speechless. And that's not even getting into how he was talking. Like he was some thug and not a 15-year-old living in a gated community. At first I couldn't figure out what to do, or how to proceed. I'll admit that I never once imagined either of my boys would be the type of person to do something like that. But there was no way in hell I was letting this go. So after a day of thought I decided what was going to happen. First things first. He was grounded. For how long I'm not sure. Secondly, I'd gotten Jacob a bike for his birthday but it hadn't arrived until the day previous and I'd planned to give it to him when my parents came to visit since they'd been unable to make his party. But instead of that I showed him I knew about the prank, and told him he was grounded. Then I made him carry the new bike out of my bedroom closet into the car before driving to Ashley's house. Him crying the whole way. I'd called her parents earlier and explained everything, and so once we got there I had him cart it to their front porch and ring the bell. Then in front of me, Ashley, her parents, and God, I had him give a sincere apology and gift her the bike. Even I apologized to her, saying I didn't raise my boy this way and what he did was unforgivable. I also called the parents of the other boys who were a part of this little stunt, and they all seemed rightfully horrified by their son's involvement. I felt I'd handled this all as best as I could, and my friends agreed. Though once my parents found out that I'd made Jacob give his birthday gift away, they said what I did went too far. I still feel like what I did was right, but having my parents more or less dogpile on me like this actually made me wonder if how I handled it was too extreme. AITA here? As someone who has been pranked like this, it's very refreshing to see you stand up for her and not just excuse away what your son did. I'd also have a long conversation to him about why it wasn't right, but so far I think what you did was right. NTA. NTA, you did the right thing. If there hadn't been consequences that hit where it hurt, he may not have learned how unacceptable that behavior is. That cruelty is sadly common in kids around that age. But this is the absolute right step towards him becoming a good man. NTA. I would have done the same thing. What he did is not okay. That can damage someone's self-confidence. He can handle losing a gift. He should feel awful for what he's done. Your parents are just grandparents thinking. They aren't seeing the big picture. If he keeps going down that path, he will end up with a bad group of kids. Punish him however you want. Boys need to be raised to respect women, not tear them down. NTA. I still remember 10+ years later when I was in middle school and one kid told me his friend loved me, and seeing how angry his friend got afterwards because liking me was such a gross thing. You 100% did the right thing. NTA. Your son has hopefully learned a lesson here. You're doing tough things a parent needs to do to raise their kids properly. You could have handled this an easy way, but you did it the hard way and the right way. NTA. By making him give her the bike, you made sure he will never forget it. As a kid, I got grounded and don't remember why now, but I guarantee you I remember what I did that caused my parents to cancel my birthday party 1 year. One major problem I see with this is that your punishment in no way involves humanizing his victim. For him. In fact, your punishment probably dehumanizes Ashley further because now she is emblematic of the unfairness of his punishment. As he sees it, meaningful change for kids and adults comes through understanding the human perspective of the victim such that it becomes unthinkable for Jacob in his mind for him to treat her this way again. Your punishment is nothing for him in that regard. He hasn't had to listen to Ashley talk about how she felt or the reality of her experience. Assuming she'd want to. He hasn't had to engage with her as a human being. He isn't learned anything other than that if he gets caught being horrible then mom will take away nice things from him. The second problem I have with your punishment is that the bike is unrelated to the crime. For punishments to be effective for kids, the hardship needs to be related to what they did. Removal of his use of the family tablet. Installation of monitoring software on his telephone. Grounding and isolation from that friendship group. And all of those things needs clear durations. Endless grounding is ineffective as a punishment as it offers no hope and no pathway to redemption for Jacob to engage with. Rather it leaves him to stew over his own mistreatment without the sort of introspection or learning you're hoping will miraculously come from it. You're NTA because you have done something to try to bring a measure of restitution to Ashley. It's just that what you have done will not have the impact for Jacob that you seek. It essentially just emulates the U.S. criminal justice system's demonstrably failing approach to punishment. So much research has been done into both child psychology and punishment and criminal psychology and punishment that it astounds me how we still stick to incorrect and puritanical views of what works. Good luck helping Jacob move forward from this to learn real lessons about his victim's humanity and how he harmed her. NTA, you are his parent and have the right to give consequences. Him and his friends being cruel and therefore him losing the bike is a rational consequence. If your parents bought him the bike and you gave it away, that would be another discussion, but you bought it. NTA. That sounds like a well thought out punishment. I hope that your son feels remorse over his actions. Curious to know what talking like a thug looks like, but NTA. YTA, but not for the reason you might think. I don't think it was appropriate to make him give her the bike. Definitely take the bike. Definitely yeet that shit into the trash or the nearest donation bin. But I can't imagine Ashley wanting that constant reminder of this terrible moment. NTA, I'm 39 years old. When I was 13 this happened to me. I actually asked a guy to the dance. They said yes, and then come the dance his friends just had a ball laughing at how stupid I was for thinking he would like me. I still remember how that felt. Actions have consequences, these are the consequences. I used to be asked out as a dare or prank a lot. I was the dorky obese kid that everyone liked to joke about. The first time, I was so excited that someone liked me. 6th grade. That I said yes. Only to be told they don't actually want me to. They just had to ask. Okay. I'm used to it. It happens about 6 to 7 times more over the years. I was so used to this that when I was legitimately asked to prom, I assumed it was a prank and just ignored that person's requests. We were okay friends, so we still talked. It wasn't until after prom that she gave me the craft flower she was making for me because she was hoping I'd say yes eventually. I felt truly awful because if I had known it was serious, I would have said yes, as she was a wonderful person. I was just so used to being pranked that I assumed everything was. This type of prank isn't funny. And it isn't harmless. Even if the victim thinks it's okay. It's not. No one understands the psychological damage this causes until it's too late. NTA. So, what concerns me is that you're worried that your son and his friends were talking like some thug that doesn't live in a gated community. It's not someone else's fault. Not the thugs. Not the people that don't live in gated communities. It's yours. You are his parent. But your son lives in a gated community and talks like this, so is the behavior exclusive to thugs, who don't live in gated communities? Or does your son do the same things that you think thugs do? I don't think you are the asshole to do this, but it sounds like he needs several talks on how to treat and respect women. I don't know if giving his gift away was the right thing to do just because he is going to associate this interaction with punishment rather than actually changing. From someone who grew up with a mom, albeit not healthy, she would break or take away things for good when a rule was broken. My brother was particularly affected, and this did not stop his behavior. And coming from a girl who was in high school who had seen these types of bullies they had their mom take their cars or whatever and still would act up. They just would try to be more sneaky. Chances are he will associate this girl with making him receive a harsh punishment, which could lead to more bullying, which I have seen firsthand. This kind of keeps the victims from reporting for fear of retaliation. I'm not saying you shouldn't have taken the bike away, but it would be good to also back this up with many talks and steps to reconcile this behavior so he stops and thinks twice. This is just my opinion and what I have been through, seen happen in my life. You are the parent and know best for your child, and I'm sure are a wonderful parent, so don't take this is a judgment. I am just sharing my experiences. I absolutely respect that you took the time to teach him a lesson when this could severely hurt the girl and her confidence in herself. YTA. You forced your input on the girl and made what was an upsetting memory into a massive scene that will keep her up at night forever. You did not help the situation and in fact made it worse. Other commenters have explained how and done it far more eloquently than I can. So go check them out. He deserved a harsh punishment. But you made this poor girl a spectacle. His apology meant nothing with his mommy there forcing it. Instead, it was probably a very embarrassing situation having to stand in front of both of their parents and accept a fake apology and a bike she probably didn't even want. Now that you've told all of the other boys' parents, they're going to make her the enemy. That's only going to make the bullying worse. There are much better ways to teach your son empathy without making her collateral damage. Ground him. Find a book that tells what bullying is like from the victim's view. Have him volunteer at a suicide prevention hotline. Have him speak to a mental health professional about what they see from the victims of bullying every day. Most importantly, get to the bottom of why he felt this was an appropriate thing to do. Why is he so desperate for the approval of others? Also, stop acting like being wealthy makes him above doing stupid shit. You claim to have raised him better, but you need to take a hard look at how you treat and talk about others. Children are taught empathy by example. NTA 10 years from now he'll look back and agree that he messed up and deserved that punishment. I really do not understand the giving of the bike to the girl. Like, this part is just weird. Did she need a bike? Did you ask if wanted a bike? I am just confused about the thought process to give it to her. My son did a jerk thing. Here is his bike? Quote. Has anyone asked Ashley how she feels about what went down? Or how she'd like it handled? It's of course a mean prank. But it's also pretty silly that this whole group thinks that Ashley getting asked out by your son is some honor being bestowed upon her, to the point that it's a mean prank because it's not real. She might even be relieved that it was a stupid prank. And there's nothing like seeing this behavior to help her realize how dumb boys are and cure her of any crush. Is your son considered some teen heartthrob? This speaks to a larger issue about how boys and girls are taught to think about their roles. Making too big of a deal about it all might be more than Ashley actually cares about the whole thing, which is its own brand of embarrassing.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.